Hey everyone! Today's video is pretty much a culmination of a few projects that I've been working on this summer. And I'm kind of excited to do it because it also brings to a conclusion the first ever project that I did this summer. Right after lockdown started, I was walking around in the yard and I was looking for something to do. So I just happened to pick up this stick. And I thought, oh, why don't I just sit here and carve that out a bit and sand it down, and next thing you know, I've got a wand. So that's exactly how it started. This whole adventure that I've been doing over the summer with various wood carving and other projects, wax stamping and paper making and everything else. So, because I didn't want to just make it a stick and say, here you go kid, play with a stick. Like I said, it became a wand, and that became a project of how do I not just hand my kid a stick? How do I attach some value, some importance to it? So that's what led to the other bits. And you'll see by the end of the video, there are various components to this. I wanted to make a presentation out of it. I wanted it to be a gift instead of just, as I said, I mean, I don't want to just say, here's a stick, go play. So this video, like I said, combines all those elements. And by the end of it, hopefully you'll see it and maybe you'll say, oh, that looks like a fun idea. Maybe I should try something like that. So the first thing you need to do is get yourself a stick. And lucky enough, I've got a tree in the backyard with a couple of dead branches. So that's exactly what I did. The only problem is when you're looking for a stick to make a wand out of, you have to make sure it's a suitable length. So the problem is tracing through all this, you're trying to find a piece that is just the right thickness first of all, and then obviously you don't want it having a big bend in it like that. That's not going to make a suitable wand at all. So you have to look before you even, again, like even if it's a dead branch in a tree, before you even pull it down, you have to say, is there a bit there that I can use? So lucky enough in this one, basically traced through it, and that bit there is relatively suitable. So I'm just going to take out the clippers, take that bit off, and put that bit down there. And as I said, I mean, you look at it and you can say, well, that's pretty good. That's not perfect, but it's pretty good. So once you got the clippers out, then you just take all the little nubs and gnarls and warts and all, because it makes it a lot easier to strip if you don't have these on here. So get them all off, and then you can move on to your next step, which is pocket knife. And with the pocket knife, all you're going to do is get all that bark off. You're going to go all the way around, you clean it up as best as you can. And see, there's one of those nubs that got left on, so that's giving me a bit of a headache. So you just got to get your thumb in there and push a little bit harder, or you can come back with the clippers again. But you can see how that's given a bit of resistance, so it is easier to just get the clippers and do away with it right away. So that's how you start it off. Again, you go all the way around. And I've got one that's halfway done right here. And as you can see, in this case, I've trimmed some of it off and I've left some of the bark on, and that will give me a different effect when I'm done cleaning that up. So that's one possibility. There are many possibilities. One of the best parts about this project was going around the yard and finding the different types of trees and seeing what happened when I took the bark off. Because obviously every tree has its own pattern, its own unique style. I really thought this was cool, the one with the warts. But by the time you get this stripped down and colored, you end up with something like this, which I thought was really neat. I think actually out of the same tree, I ended up with this one here, because I took it down even a step further. I sanded it completely smooth. You can still see the little sections where the twigs came out of. And then just to give you another idea, This is another completely different tree species. I have no idea what trees these are, so don't ask me that. I couldn't tell you if this was an aspen or a birch or an oak or a maple. But I thought this was really neat because of the leopard print spots on it. So there's that and that. And going back. So again, this is basically how you start out. Like I said, you trim it off, and then you're going to strip all the bark. And then eventually you're going to get to, that's the intermediate, and then you're going to get it down to this stage. And this stage is the ready to finish. So you're going to put your stain on here. So we'll get this out of the way. And when you're ready to finish, I think anybody who's seen any of my other videos, you know by now, basically I've got 2 cans of stain, a red one and a black one. And in the case of these, it's a lot of fun playing around with the different colors because it depends on the wood. Where did you go? Again, this tree for the most part has a sort of reddish hue to it already. That's the one that I ended up taking to that color. But at the same time, maybe you don't want to take it over the top red. Maybe you want to add in a little bit of the black stain. So that's what I did there. Or maybe you want to make it all black, as I did with this one. There are so many different possibilities. As I said, every tree has its own grain pattern, and then depending on whether you want to mix the grain with a dark stain, a light stain, a red stain, a purple stain. I don't even know if they make a purple stain. I'm just making that up on the spot. But you end up with so many different variations, and that's what makes it fun as well. Like I said, the chance to experiment, to play around, and to do whatever you like. So again, once you get to that spot, I'll show you a little bit. This, as I said, is ready to stain, so I'm going to get some of the stain out. I'll just give it a shake like that. I'm going to do this one in a bit of the red, and maybe we'll add a bit of black as well. And then you can see how that looks, and then we'll leave that to dry, and then we'll move on with the next part. So, there you go. Lid off, and we'll get a tissue. And again, this is pre-stain. Just dip that in there. And as long as you know how stain works, I mean, you can put it on. I can even dip it in like this, and then I can leave it for a couple of minutes. But if you wipe it off, then it's going to dry lighter. If you put more on, it's going to dry darker. Again, it's all up to you. So that's the beginning of that. And then we'll put that aside, and we'll open up the black one, and you can have a look at that too. Oh, I didn't shake that one, did I? I'll just dip in the screwdriver. There you go. And we'll wipe that on there. And then we'll wipe that on there. And what I generally liked to do was take a bit of that black and use it, as I said, sort of as an accent color, a base color. And then you can put a bit of the red on top. Sorry, did I show you properly there? So that's the black on there. And then you can add a bit of the red on top. And you can see that sort of makes the green pop out. Putting the black down makes the green pop out, and then you add the red, and then it just brings out a bit of color. You can see that one circle right there. So that's what makes it cool. That's what I like anyway. So we'll play with that one again later. So after you've got your stick all finished, like I said, we'll take this one for example. This is the one that I made for my 4-year-old. This was, I think, the second one I ever made, maybe the third. It was this one, and my 8-year-old actually came back to me. He'd found this stick in the yard, and he'd seen me make the first one. And he said, "Oh, Daddy, can you make me a wand?" And that's what led to it. And I thought this one was cool as well because, you know, this had grown through a fence at one point or something. That's how we got that chokes line there. And then it's got that little hole right there. And basically it looked like, to me, it looked like a bird's head. and that's why I thought that one was interesting. There wasn't too much else to go along the rest of the wand, so I just smoothed it out as best I could, added a little bit of red, and then I ended up coming back when it was all dry. I hit it with a little bit of clear gloss, just a can that I had, and then smoothed it out. So these are my two sons' wands. And after that, as I said, I mean, you can see there, I've played with the design a few times. So we'll just use these as an example. I'm going to put these away now. Put these back over here. And I thought, okay, I've got a wand. What do I do with it? I can't just hand them a stick, like I said. I mean, like you hand a stick to an 8-year-old, they're just going to poke each other's eyes out, aren't they? So I thought I would make it a little fancier. And that's unfortunately why they haven't been given these sticks, like I said. Because I wanted to do something a bit nicer for them. So, in addition to having the wand, I thought, what else can I do with it? Well, you need some kind of stand, don't you? So, shortly after, I started picking up random pieces of bark. Again, I don't know what type of tree this is. I think this might be aspen, I'm not sure. And the nice part about this, I haven't got a piece that's unfinished yet. But this one was a little bit rough, and I've just taken all the inner bark off of there, and hopefully again you can see the wood grain coming through in there. And I thought, again, that was really nice. So what did I do with that? I got out some of my mineral oil, that stuff there, and just poured it onto the wood. And it's not quite as shiny as it was. So I'll give you a bit of a hit now. Rub that in there. And you can see how nice and shiny that comes up. So eventually I'll probably put some kind of clear gloss finish on it. And that should make it even nicer. But the idea again behind that was, okay, why don't I make some kind of stand? I'm just going to throw that on the floor. Don't worry, honey, I'm going to clean all this up. It's fine. So anyway, here's a piece of bark. Okay, well, how do you do that? So again, you get out your sandpaper and then you go at it. Go all the way through. Do every one of those. And this was one of those pieces that I found lying around, and I thought it kind of looked like a skeleton of, or a fossil of either a bird's head or a dinosaur head. Sort of like a long beak here and then a triceratops fan at the back. So again, this has been sanded down a little bit and I've added some color in. I thought, you know, that'd make something really cool. You put that there and you can rest your wand on top. And there you go. You leave it out on display. So that's your stand taken care of. And then I thought, okay, what about polishing the wand? You gotta have something to do that with, right? So I started picking up random rocks. Nothing terribly special about this. It was basically just the size and they were pretty much round. So I thought, just for an added bonus, I ended up adding the mineral oil again to this rock. And funny enough, it has never dried out in probably the 4 months that it's been covered in oil. So taking this one here, you can see just a regular rock. And now my hands are covered in oil. But I thought it made it look really nice and really smooth. And, you know, as a point of interest in the presentation, I thought, you know, have a rock with some spirits on it, and then you can just rub that along, and it's kind of like a honing stone for your wand. Whenever you've had a hard day of spell casting, you can come back and take this magically imbued rock and rub it onto your wand, and there you go. Wand is restored to full magical power. So that was the next step. And then I'm sure somebody somewhere has seen my paper making attempt, because I know it's had at least one view. So here's my piece of paper. And originally I thought I was going to make my own paper, and I was going to drop a letter, and it was going to say, Dear Hagrid, thank you for purchasing your wand, blah blah blah. It's been imbued with magical powers. Best of luck in your spellcasting, something like that. This paper, as proud as I am that I made this, it's not really designed to write on and to fold up and to stick in a box. I'm pretty sure if I fold this, it's not going to last too long. I did fold it once, and you can see it's pretty much ready to break. So I do like that, but it's not going to happen for the wand box. And then after that, we came along to, how many of you remember wax seal stamping? So of course we're going to need some wax seals today. So I should have fired this up already, but we're not going to use that actually, just because it's no fun. Oh, we're not going to do that one either because I've just melted my candle holder. I didn't see that one coming, did you? Okay, well, moving on, we'll try that again then. So anyway, light that up. Try not to burn your hand. Ow. Like that. And that's just sort of going. And we'll leave that for a second. I think what we might need to do is get the torch going again. No, it's just starting to melt. So we'll leave that one for a second, and I will show you the conclusion. So, moving that wand out of the way, moving my flamethrower out of the way. This is basically the finished product. As a few of you know, I am a bit of a dumpster diver. I find stuff everywhere and I say, oh, I'd have a use for that. This box is one of those things. I found this box once upon a time. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. And guess what? Look at this. It's silk lined. Gorgeous box. So, inside, here is your big unboxing video. Inside the box, you have, of course, a finished wand. And once again, if you give it a little bit of a finish, with the oil, and it makes it all shiny and nice. In addition to the wand, you have your finished piece of bark. I've taken every sandpaper to this, and I even gave it a wet sand at the end with the 320 paper, and it's basically smooth as a baby's bottom. So you've got your stand there, you've got your wand there, you've got your health and safety, do not attempt this at home. I think that's almost melted. And then, as I said, you've got your little magically imbued rock. And I included a piece of leather as well, because I thought, well, wouldn't that be nice? You know, your wand gets a bit dusty. You give it a bit of a wipe. So this obviously came off my big piece here. And again, you just get the sharpest knife you can possibly imagine. And where is it? There, over here. Get your cutting board down. And you should be able to go through that like butter. So there you go. And then once you've gotten through all of that, your wand, your stand, your magic rock, your polishing cloth, then you've got your letter of thanks, saying something to the effect of Free Anders Wand Makers Company, Gandy Street, blah 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 blah. Dear Hagrid, thank you very much for your selection of a Freehander's Magic Wand. Used properly, the wand will last you a lifetime of mischief and mayhem. Make up your own words, insert them here. Wish you the very best of luck. And then what you're going to do, obviously, is you're going to put your wax seal stamp on. Assuming you've melted just your wax and nothing else. You haven't burned your house down. Then you should be okay. And then you give that a bit of a stir. And that gets messy really quick. We'll give that another shot there. And then we're going to pour this on. Whoop. That's stuck already. You're going to get the weight out of there, and you're going to... Again, if you watched my wax seal video, the ratio again was probably roughly 2 to 1 of glue stick to crayon. Probably depends on the brand of crayon you use. But try to keep with the good stuff, because the cheaper ones generally have a little bit more oil in them, and they tend to get a bit greasy once they go on the paper. So don't get the absolute worst crayons you can find. It doesn't have to be Crayola, but get something fairly nice. And then you're just going to take that. Let it dry. I think that's pretty much done already. It is. And there you have it. So again, the entire package is the box. I think I tried looking up how much these boxes were, and I think I found a website that sells them for about 10 bucks each. So they're not cheap. But again, like you can see, that just looks spectacular. I mean, if you're talking about doing this kind of thing and you want to make it all fancy to give to somebody, sure, spend 10 bucks, because, you know, other than the box, this cost me nothing but my time. I have a piece of paper with 2 cents worth of crayon and glue stick. I have a stick that I found in my yard, a piece of bark I found in my yard. The leather will cost you something, I guess, and a rock. So in you go. You're going to put that right there, that right there, that right there. That's going to go over top. And then you just put your letter on top of there and close your box. And there is one Christmas present for the kids. So, if you enjoyed that, let me know. Talk to me. Tell me what you think. Leave me a comment. Leave me a like. Subscribe. Talk to you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.